Morphogenics podcast is it's a podcast that interviews or talks with and has discussions with people in the agribusiness as well as the food industries. So our aim is to have discussions and interviews with people doing interesting things in those industries. So I'm very happy to have you as a guest today on the podcast.
Well, I appreciate your time and the opportunity to be on it.
Fantastic. What was the best thing that happened to you today?
Best thing that happened to me today, I would say we got 3,000 plants planted today, so that was pretty good.
Right.
Went off without a hitch.
Okay. Excellent. So you said you planted 3,000 plants today.
Yes. Yeah. We're growing from seed right now.
Fantastic. Okay, great stuff. And Alex, could you tell me what position you are currently holding at the moment?
IPM manager, but we pretty much doing everything from cultivation, IPM, maintenance, helping with construction. So pretty much I'm wearing multiple hats at the moment.
Okay. All right. And IPM manager, the IPM stands for?
Integrated Pest Management.
Okay, great. All right. And is that a subspeciality of being a cultivation manager, or is that part of the whole?
It is a subcategory of cultivation. Your average cultivator, besides maybe like scouting as they're doing plant work, I mean, it's something that the average cultivator wouldn't be involved in. Usually most companies have an IPM team in place to handle, sprays, beneficial insects, disease, stuff like that.
Okay, excellent. And Alex, could you tell me what a typical day for you looks like? What either as a cultivation manager or as a IPM manager?
Well, as IPM manager, I like to hold a quick meeting every morning with my team, go over the day's tasks, and then once I get them started on what they're doing, then I can get on the computer and handle any kind of managerial type things that I need to take care of. I get a lot of cultivators that come up to me and ask me questions if they see something or, are just curious about certain things. And now that I'm helping start up the greenhouse, we're doing a lot of planting and harvesting and helping with setting up irrigation and get that place up and running.
Okay, excellent. Great stuff. What do people misunderstand the most about your industry?
Well, I think the stigma is kind of fading now that, more research has been coming out, and it's, here in Florida especially, the majority of our patients are over 55 and 65. So I think the tide's changing. There are still some old school people that, call it the devil's lettuce or what have you.
Okay. That's the first time I've learned that term before.
Yeah, I think things are changing. So
Excellent. No, glad to hear it. And in terms of your client base, who would you say your client base is?
I would say the majority are senior citizens. I've talked, when I worked in the dispensary, I talked to many patients that would be, hey, I used to take 15 pills, now I'm only taking 2.
Oh.
So it's amazing to see how much it really helps people.
That's amazing. Okay, fantastic. What is a common myth about your job or your expertise?
Common myth? Probably that, we're growing at home too. Florida's not a state where you're legally allowed to grow at home. So everybody thinks that just because you work in the industry, you must have a pot farm at home too. So I think that's a common misconception.
Right. And how many years experience do you have in the industry?
In the legal industry, I have a little bit over 5 years experience, and then about 3 years before that, I was growing at home.
Okay, all right, all right. And how does one get experience and an expert in the industry? I mean, how?
Well, I think there's a few ways that you could do that. Now there's a lot of places that are offering classes.
Okay.
Even just somebody that takes a horticulture class, that helps. But just getting your foot in the door, whether it's as a entry-level cultivator, or even I've seen people come in as basically a janitor and eventually learn and ask questions and work their way into cultivation.
Okay. Okay. All right. Would you say cultivation's quite high on the ladder on the hierarchy?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the state system. We're a seed to sale system, so we do everything in house. We have to, grow, extract, package, everything all at once. Where other states, you can just be a grower, just be a dispensary, and I think that just brings some challenges upon itself.
Mm. Absolutely, absolutely.
Normally, the structure is set up where there's a cultivation manager, and then above that is the cultivation director, and they're the ones that are making all the SOP decisions. Everything comes down from the cultivation director.
Given that you're based in Florida, are your skills exportable to other states as well, or would they
Absolutely.
be?
Yeah, I've actually been doing some interviews with some companies out of state. So
Good.
yeah, definitely.
Okay, excellent. What would you say is your biggest work or professional failure, and what did you learn from that experience?
Oof, failure. Well, I was pretty fortunate to have, once I entered the industry, I was pretty fortunate to have some really great mentors. I would say more of my, failures was when I was doing trial and error at home, first starting out. Um, but I made sure I do a lot of research, and, I like to read a lot of articles and see what's going on, amongst the cultivating community.
Mhm. Okay, excellent. And what would you say are the five biggest challenges at work or in your professional environment at the moment?
I would say that the disconnect between the corporate side of things and the growers that have, kind of come from the underground world. Um, you know, Corporations, they just want production, and they don't understand that, some things you can't just do certain things just because they want it done. Marketing is also another challenge. Sometimes the marketers will get a little overzealous and maybe release that we're coming out with a new product before it's ready, and if we run into any issues, then it just causes that product to be delayed. So I would say just the main thing is the people that come from outside the cannabis industry understanding the growers side of things, and listening to the growers and their suggestions.
Okay. Any other challenges you are facing professionally or within the company?
Well, currently, the one I'm at now, we're setting up this greenhouse for extractable material. We're just, looking for as much biomass as we can. So, they're throwing the least amount of capital as possible at it. So that's a challenge as well. We don't have all the equipment we need, but we are still working and growing. So, I think that's something that will get better once we prove that that it's going to work out well.
Okay. And how about the industry? What five challenges is your industry facing now?
I would say, especially here in Florida, the monopolization of our system. When we first passed our law in 2016, you had to be a nursery to even apply, you had to be a nursery in business for 30 years. You had to have been growing 400,000 plants a year.
Right.
So that just totally did not allow any small businesses to be able to take part in this. I think licenses are now selling for about 55 million here in Florida.
55 million.
Yeah. So
Okay. Okay.
it's very,
That
it's
is
a very
shocking.
monopolized system
Okay.
here in Florida.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite prohibitive. I mean, how are small businesses supposed to get established or even start with
They
such
can't.
high thing?
Yeah, they can't.
Wow.
And I think we even need a $5 million bond just to even apply for the license.
Absolutely.
And
Did you
that
do the
doesn't even
license?
cost of the building the facility, you know, that's another couple mil, you know, so it's
Absolutely.
just very expensive.
Absolutely. So you did say 55 million for the license.
Yes, I think Cookies just bought one for 45 or 55 million, and same with the Jungle Boys.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do the maths around that. I mean, you're gonna have to like sell a lot of product to break even. Okay.
Well, I mean, we get a good ROI on our products just because the price points are set pretty high for our products here in Florida.
Okay.
You know, it's for a gram of distillate, it's $60. So I mean, 1 kilo of distillate will net you $60,000. So, you know, the return of investment's very good for this state, for the companies here, but it was intentionally set up that way by the legislation. So
I see.
yeah.
I see. Okay. Excellent. Are there any other challenges or challenges in the industry that the industry is facing besides those?
I think you know, the speed at which companies are, you know, not, or you know, like product companies, they, especially when it comes to pesticides, they're not labeled for hemp or cannabis. So you know, that's kind of a gray area that we're working in right now. So I would like, that's definitely a challenge I would like to see change. And some companies are already on top of that, getting the ball rolling and labeling it for hemp. So that will help out a lot.
Okay, excellent. What, Alex, what would you say is the most important lesson that you've learned in your career?
You know, probably something that I did not know until I had a great mentor teach me about nutrient antagonism. If you don't mix your nutrients in a correct order, they can bind together and create molecules that are too large for the roots to uptake. So therefore, your plant's not getting the food it needs. It's building up salts in the root zone, and it's just going to eventually damage the plant and possibly kill it.
Okay.
And I think that's something that, you know, not a lot of people really know about. And you know, if you mix CalMag and silica together, it clumps up into a jello-like substance, you know, and there's no way the roots are going to uptake that.
Absolutely. Okay. And within the industry, Alex, what type of years of experience does a company look for in a cultivation manager?
It seems like a lot of the ones I've seen has been about 3 to 5 years. Usually, you know, preferred bachelor's degree in horticulture, plant sciences, botany, something like that. But yeah, pretty much, I think the highest I think I saw was 10 years, but most of them are about 5.
Okay. Excellent. All right. And do you need special licenses, state licenses to get a job?
Cultivation manager? No, not at all. You just got to be able to pass that background check. But for like IPM, for example, you know, you need to have somebody that has a private applicator's license, so that we can spray. It doesn't matter who it is, as long as, you know, you can work under somebody's license, but somebody on site needs to have that license.
Okay. Right.
And I can't speak for other states, but that's how it is here in Florida.
I see. Tell me, Alex, did you always want to be a IPM manager or work within the industry?
Yeah, yeah. Probably from when I was 15. I'm 32 now, but when I was 15, I first started using marijuana, and it's something I've been passionate about, especially as I saw the medical side of things progress and the research progress. I really love pharmacology and, natural alternatives to pharmaceuticals. So, as I learned more about it, I became more and more passionate, and, I'm honestly living my dream right now, working in the cannabis industry.
Excellent, excellent. And Alex, what advice would you give to somebody just starting for the first time in the industry?
Well, I would say make sure you don't bring an ego. That's one thing that, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat when it comes to growing cannabis, and everybody thinks their way is the perfect way. So if you need to kind of drop those preconceptions. Also, if you just keep your head down, do your job, do a good job, and stay out of the drama that can happen, I think you'll go far in this industry.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, good.
Ask questions. Obviously ask the people that have made it to the positions you want to be in, so you can eventually one day take those positions.
Great, great. What's the one thing in your job or expertise that almost no one agrees with you about?
I honestly probably couldn't say there is a thing. I'm pretty open-minded. I'm pretty willing to try out other methods, do R&D, which is research and development. I think one of my, one grow I was at, a lot of the people there were agriculture background. And I think they kind of thought, oh, this guy is just a stoner closet grower, and there was certain things that they didn't take my advice on, and it ended up biting them, down the road. But honestly, I really can't think of anything.
Okay, so is there there's a difference between agriculture and, what would the opposite be, horticulture, or?
Yeah, it's the cannabis plant, I think, is very unique. Just even from different strain to strain, they like different amounts of food, different amounts of light, different amounts of water. So even just from cultivar to cultivar, there's big differences in the plants. And when you have somebody from agriculture who's, say, growing corn or growing tomatoes, or they don't understand the nuances of the cannabis plant and how it's different than your typical vegetable or so.
Okay, right. And Alex, who has been your most important mentor in your career?
A man named Darren Potter. He was the first facility I worked for. He was the cultivation director. He was from Colorado. He won a cannabis cup while he was there in Colorado. So he taught me more than any other forms, articles, experience that has taught me. He really taught me a lot, and I owe everything that I know pretty much to him.
Okay, and cannabis cup, can you tell me more about that? What does that involve?
Well, he submitted some flower. I think it was his platinum Kush or presidential Kush that he submitted, and he won first place for People's Choice. So that means, there was judges who smoked his flower and deemed it the best of the best that year.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, and Alex, if you could be remembered for one thing, what would that one thing be?
Like work-wise?
Yeah.
Well, I would say the last facility I was at, the indoor facility that I was running, we remained pest-free my entire year and a half I was there. So I think that's, especially when it comes to IPM, usually most places have some form of pest, whether it's a low number or an infestation. But I was able to keep this facility completely clean from any pests, and I'm pretty proud of myself for that.
Excellent. Expertise by the number of plants or acres or hectares under greenhouse. How's that measured?
I would say some people do, just in terms of like what you can handle, especially since I've been interviewing for a lot of cultivation manager jobs. I've worked in facilities as little as 10,000 square feet up to 150,000 square feet 500,000 square feet with 150,000 plants. Wow. So I think it just shows that, okay, if you can handle a grow that size, working in a 30,000 square foot facility really seems small to me.
Excellent. Okay. And in your opinion, Alex, what are the 5 most important skills or strengths one needs to have in order to be successful at your job?
Definitely knowledge, work ethic, adaptability. In the corporate cannabis space, things can change in a day. You could be doing things one way and all of a sudden the next day, bam, we got to do it a different way now. So I think adaptability is huge. I think, passion is definitely something that you need as well. I've seen growers who are passionate about it and not, and the ones that are passionate about it are definitely better cultivators. And let me think of a 5th one, probably ethics. Being a medical product, I think it needs to be clean, free of any harmful pesticides or any heavy metals or anything that can, harm the patient.
Correct. Okay. And when you say adaptability, Alex, how would I would have thought that in the corporate environment things are quite static and wouldn't change that much. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah. Well, it's more so of the company wanting to reduce costs, or if we say we got a little understaffed, you got to change up a little bit of ways you do things. But for the most part, they are pretty static. Once you get your SOPs written and you're in a groove, you pretty much are just on a cycle at that point.
Okay, excellent.
But you never know when the managers could come in and say, "Oh, we're not doing this anymore. We're doing this." So.
True. What's one lesson that your job has taught you that everyone should know?
Man, you were asking some tough questions today. What is one thing that, honestly, to be probably work ethic. I mean, I think that's probably the most important thing.
Okay, great.
You're not gonna, you get in what you put out when it comes to cannabis. So if you're not, determined and doing things the right way, you're not gonna get a good final product.
Absolutely. What tools are indispensable for your job, Alex?
Well, we just started using a new sprayer that I really like. It's a Petra Cold Fogger backpack. I really like that product. There's certain products that I think are staples to have in any garden, but that's probably opinion. I think the getting to learn and use Excel for certain things, Microsoft Excel, I think that's definitely helped streamline some scheduling and things like that, communication. But really, honestly, I think you can pretty much achieve what you need to achieve in multiple ways. So I'm not really too sure there's one major thing. Basically good genetics, proper environment, good lights, and proper feeding regimen, and you're on your way to some good plants.
Okay, excellent. Okay, good.
Thank you so much for watching. If you found this information useful, please click the like button, and please subscribe to receive new information from the food and agribusiness industry. Thank you. Goodbye.